Okay, we're back. With a little over 4 minutes to spare. By the way, as soon as I got off the live earlier, there was someone at the door. So I went to get the door, and one of my friends that listens to the podcast was so super nice and had snacks delivered to the house, because I know that when a story breaks and things get wild, I forget to eat and things like that. So thank you, Brittany. Love you for that. Thank you. I very much appreciate you sending snacks to the house for me, because you're absolutely right. I do forget to eat and caffeinate when things get crazy around here. So I very much appreciate you for doing that. So we were hanging out waiting for the press conference to start. For the Idaho case. Yeah, Brittany, I cannot thank you enough. I was eating all the snacks on the break, and I was out of Dr. Pepper, so it was chef's kiss, perfect timing. Cannot thank you enough. Very much appreciate you for that. So, where's everything I need to keep us going and sustained during this? We got all the backup chargers, drinks. I think we're all set here. Let's see. Plugged in, all set up. And now we just wait. We got a few more minutes to go. We're all in do not disturb mode right now. We are all in do not disturb mode right now because shit is popping off. Chelsea, that is very sweet. You did not have to do that. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated, because I definitely need the caffeine.
Thank you for coming today. Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, Federal Bureau of Investigation,
Why is it echoing?
detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murder of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee. I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Kohlberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohlberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Zana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m., reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We had developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news. You helped us with tips. You kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now in court, and I and my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over in Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. Y'all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why. Next, I'll introduce Colonel Ked Wells from the Idaho State Police. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university, the community, and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us as our investigators have worked through this case. I'm thankful also to you, the media partners, who have helped keep this case in the forefront that generates the tips and we hope will continue to generate information that will help us to a conclusion of this proceeding. I'd like to express our appreciation on behalf of the Idaho State Police to Chief Fry, his leadership, and the entire Moscow Police Department for the way that they handled this from the very beginning. He directed the right people to the right positions that led us to this conclusion today. I've had the utmost confidence in this investigation and in Chief Fry, as well as in Mr. Bill Thompson and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, who've been a great partner throughout this. Nothing has deterred the commitment of the investigators who've worked on this case, regardless of the organization they represent. It's been very trying and very difficult, as you know, that it has been on those investigators as they do the tedious work that they're so good at doing. The partnerships is what's led here as well. The partnerships between Moscow Police Department, I'd like to express our appreciation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specifically the special agent in charge out of the Salt Lake City Division, Dennis Rice, and also the work that happened in the last 24 hours in Pennsylvania with the arrest with the Pennsylvania State Police and Colonel Evanchik with the Pennsylvania State Police. We appreciate what they've done across the nation to help us as well. As Bill shared, this investigation is far from over. In fact, I appreciate what he shared, that this is not an ending, but rather a new beginning. The difference now is, as he shared, that we are dictated what information we can share by the court process and by laws in our state of Idaho. And so we will share, as he shared, Mr. Thompson is absolutely committed to share everything he can share through the court process. We've got to make sure that we don't get in front of that process. And we really deeply appreciate everybody's support here. The relationships that were forged here and the partnerships that were forged have led to this. And based on that is why we're here today. And we continue to believe that the best way we can honor these 4 lives that have been taken is to make sure that we have a successful outcome here. One of the partnerships that's been forged throughout this is a partnership with the University of Idaho. And on that, I'd like to introduce the president of the University of Idaho, Mr. Scott Green.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Scott Green, President of University of Idaho. Today's news and arrest is a welcome one. It's a relief to our university, our community, and our extended Vandal family. The outpouring of support over the past 6 weeks helped sustain us during the most trying time. It provided the strength that helped us navigate the international scrutiny visited on our students and employees. We are truly thankful for the compassion and acts of kindness shown to our community. Kindness is contagious, and it provided the light that reclaimed ground lost to evil and darkness. We first want to acknowledge and thank Governor Little for the early promise of financial support that enabled the university to secure our campus and focus on helping our students and our employees in the wake of the crimes. We also appreciate the Idaho State Police and the highly visible security presence that brought comfort and calm to a community shocked and confused by the senseless crimes. We never lost faith that this case would be solved and are grateful for the hard work of the Moscow Police Department and their law enforcement partners. Vast and committed FBI resources brought important expertise to this complex case. Across the board, dedicated, highly competent personnel worked this case to arrest. This crime has nevertheless left a mark on our university, our community, and our state. While we cannot bring back Maddie, Kaylee, Zaina, and Ethan, we can thoughtfully and purposefully carry their legacy forward in the work that we do. Our students come first, and that was proven each and every day of this investigation. We are committed to safely delivering the college town atmosphere, campus experience, and high-touch quality education for which the University of Idaho is known. With time, we will heal. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Chief Fry.
So now we will open the floor to questions. However, I want to remind everyone, as Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained, any factual information regarding the arrest of Kohlberger is currently sealed per Idaho law and will not be released until he has appeared in an Idaho court. Please formulate your questions accordingly. I recognize there are a lot of questions, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting, Spokane Public Radio. I realize the records are sealed. I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works, but can you tell us what tip, what lead, what piece of evidence really led you all the way from Idaho to the suspect in Pennsylvania?
As I've said in the past, that's part of our investigation, and we won't be releasing that at this time. We will have those answers. We'll have them as soon as we can make those available to you.
Then a quick follow-up and a two-parter. Is our community safe, or is law enforcement still on the search for other suspects who might be involved in this attack?
What I can tell you is we have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes, and I do believe our community is safe, but we still need to be vigilant, right? We still have talked about this in the past. We always need to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
Hi, Chief. How soon into the investigation did police and law enforcement begin to spot Mr. Kohlberger as a potential suspect? And a follow-up, how many tips, if you can say, were specifically related to Mr. Kohlberger?
To the tip part, honestly, I can't answer that question, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. On the other part, that's part of our investigation, and it will come out. I'd like the mic to please come right over here.
Thank you. Dana Griffin with NBC News. Can you confirm that Kohlberger asked whether or not anyone else had been arrested when he was in custody?
I cannot confirm that, or I'm not sure of that information, but that would still be a part of our investigation.
Did CODIS initially return any hits on this guy?
That's still part of our investigation. That will come out. If we could get somebody over here, please.
And then one final question. Is there any message to the online sleuths who slandered and harassed people who they believed were responsible?
There was a lot of speculation going on, and we've always said from the very beginning that we're the official message that comes out, and to pay attention to what we're putting out there to the press.
I'm Nancy Liu with News Nation, and we were over at the house this morning, and you told us that the remediation would begin today. It was suddenly stopped. Can you tell us why?
Yes. The house cleanup has been halted, and that came by a legal request from the court.
Christina Corbin, Fox News. Chief, have you identified a motive?
That is part of the investigation, and that will come out as we continue the investigation. But what we still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line. We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have stated all along. We're putting all the pieces together, and that will help.
Chief Veronica Miracle with CNN. Any indication that the suspect knew the victims?
That's part of the investigation as well. It won't be something that will come out at this point in time, but as we continue the investigation and as this case goes to trial, that will be brought forth.
Have you spoken to the families? Can you tell us what they've told you today?
Are you talking the victims' families? Yeah, we have reached out to the victim's family as we always do. We've done that daily, and we've continued to have contact with them.
Hey, Nate Sanford, you mentioned earlier that you're still seeking tips about Brian and that people should still share whatever information they have. Can you speak at all about what specifically people should be reaching out for, like if they know something?
I would say anything and everything. As we've said all along, we know what tips we're looking for. We will take those tips and we will have professionals look at those and decide which pieces of those we need to use for our case. So we ask that everybody would do that.
Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. Your department and other investigators on the case took a lot of flack for keeping information close to your chest. Are you glad that you did that? And were you worried about tipping the suspect off?
I will 100% stand behind the way that we handled this investigation. And this all started from day one with our patrol officers arriving on scene, locking down the scene, us calling in the Idaho State Police, us calling in the FBI, and keeping information that was pertinent to this case very, very tight. We want to have a situation where when this goes to trial, there is no doubt that we've done everything right, and we've slowed down, and we've continued to slow down. We'll continue to do that.
Hey, Chief. Have you guys found the murder weapon or the Hyundai Elantra?
So we are still looking for all pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon. And I will say that we have found an Elantra.
Stephanie Becker with CNN. Can you tell what it was like when you got the phone call when the police told you that they had your suspect?
I can tell you, for a lot of law enforcement, it was a fairly sleepless couple of days with as we were leading up to everything that we were doing. But what I can tell you is I have faith in those agencies across the nation. I have faith in our officers. I have faith in the FBI, and they did a great job. But sure, there was some times, even throughout the day, that we were always concerned.
Hi, Chief. Danya back at CBS News. Can you talk a little bit more about the suspect's connection to Pennsylvania?
All I know is that he lives in Pennsylvania.
Chief Guy Tannenbaum from Nonstop Local KHQ in Spokane. More about the Elantra. We saw reports that you mentioned that you recovered an Elantra, but can you specify where that was found? And we know that that was one of the biggest pieces of information you were asking from the public to tip. Were you able to provide an information on whether those tips led to this seizure of an Elantra?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out in the future.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. The additional police presence in town and on campus, semester's coming. Is that going to continue?
You will continue to see state troopers in the area. You know, we're talking to Latah County as well. You will see a presence of us that we're always have up on campus. We have assigned officers to that. So you will continue to see a law enforcement presence. I'm going to take two more questions.
Hi, Chief. Julie Scott, ABC News. Can you tell us if you eventually had a license plate number to the Elantra and how you tracked it to Pullman?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out.
Chief, hi, Matt Lovelace with the Merle College of Communication. I want to ask about Mr. Koberger as a graduate student at WSU. Are you aware of if he returned to campus after November 13th? And have you had any communication with departments on the WSU campus about his attendance?
So some of that is going to be followed up as we continue our investigation. We'll be asking some of those questions, but that'll come out in the near future. So what I do want to do is I want to thank you all. You really have been the national voice for us. You've given us the opportunity to get many, many tips. And I do appreciate everything you've done, and we'll continue to look forward to working with you in the future on this. So I'd like to thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Okay, let's get resituated now. So I'll be honest, I was not paying attention to the comment section during all of that because I had to have my think face on so I could concentrate on what was going on. So let's get resituated so we can discuss this. There we go. Get all situated around here. All right. Don't know why they asked for the cleanup to stop, but I mean, they've had it locked down for so long. They should theoretically have everything from an evidentiary standpoint from the House, and we don't know which side of things put in the request to halt the clean out. So I really don't know that one. On the bright side, we got the name right. So on the bright side, something that I don't really like to do, y'all know me well enough to know I don't really like to guess things, and we kind of went on a limb based on court docs to put his name out there this morning. But good news is we were right. So because we used docs and facts to back it up and not just some bullshit we saw online. So that's a bonus. What else you got for me? And if you're watching on TikTok, you can go join us on YouTube, and that's where I'll be answering questions on YouTube because it makes it easier to pin them and see them. So if you're watching on TikTok, you can stay and hang out. But if you'd like to ask questions, head over to YouTube because that's where we'll be pinning the questions and I'll be able to see them and answer them better on that. Okay, YouTube, what else you got for me? So extradition, basically, what they meant was, does he want to take himself to Moscow, or is the state going to have to pay to get him there? So it essentially comes down to, do you want to get yourself there, or do we have to bring you here by flight or car? That's really all that means. What else we got here? I mean, innocent until proven guilty. So we shall see. If they put him, so yes, they could put him on a public flight, but he will obviously have an escort in the form of a badge. Move on. Will the trial be public? It just depends. It's going to be up to the judge. So whatever judge ends up presiding over this case, he'll be the one that grants or denies media access to it. And sometimes judges say, hey, this is a really public case, let's just do it live. And some don't because of the media circus. So it kind of just depends. We'll have to wait and see. And yes, the U.S. Marshals. Am I surprised that it was said that he committed the crime without any caution words, however you want to put it? I personally think that you should always use them. always. You are innocent until proven guilty, and you don't want to leave any room for error. So I would always use words like allegedly, it appears, supposedly, based on the evidence, yada, yada, yada. My personal 2 cents. We're not going to get into stuff that might confuse y'all. Basically, one way or another, the man will end up in Moscow, Idaho. That's really all you need to know about the extradition process is one way or another, he is going to end up in Moscow. So just because they arrest him out of the state doesn't mean anything. This is still a state's case. The charges could still very much be amended and changed. They might. So depending on the circumstances, they could very well amend the charges to other things. But when he was giving his statement, he's basically saying, hey, there's the legal work, documents to go into it. And until he is back in Moscow in front of a judge, we can't release that document. Well, what that document is it's all of the probable cause for the arrest. So all of the evidence that they have against him that they believe he's the killer, that's all going to be typed out. And all of that probable cause, once they're able to release that, it's all going to be in there. So that's why he was saying if you just hang tight, we can't legally give that information out right now based on state laws. You have to wait. He has his hearing on the 3rd. Then he'll get here. And at that point in time, he'll go in front of a judge and then that can be released. But the probable cause, it's going to be all the juicy stuff that you want, like what led them to him? How did they become aware of him? Why do they think it's him? All of that's going to come out with the probable cause, but you're going to have to wait until he has gone in front of a judge in Idaho. So everyone's just going to have to be calm, cool, and collective. That will all of the probable cause against him that's going to come out after he goes before a judge in Moscow. So just hang tight. You will get all the answers there. What else we got? Why do you think they still want people to call in tips? That's an easy one because there's still stuff that they probably don't know, don't have the answers to. I do not know, but it sounded to me like they're still looking for things such as the murder weapon based on how he answered that question. And so they still want any tips they can have for anything you may have seen or not seen. Now that there's a name and a face, do you have any other further information? Now, do you think maybe you saw something or didn't see something? So the case is still developing, obviously. And so, yeah, if they think you know anything or saw anything or know XYZ, yeah, of course, they still want you to call in tips and all that good stuff. I personally do not think there are any other people involved. Earlier, if you were with us earlier, I shared that tweet and I said, I'm not confirming, denying, verifying this or otherwise. I'm just showing y'all this tweet because y'all were sending it in, by the dozen. And so I was just showing y'all that I'd seen the tweet, but I was not going to verify or confirm that. I think it's just one person. Members, we can hash this out on a members live later, but I believe it is just one person. The more they know, yeah, the more they know, The more they have, the more they can bring to the table in court. Abso-fucking-lutely, yes. I do love that he's in a turtle suit. We call that a turtle suit. That is a suit that some of y'all have seen from another popular case recently that we talked about, and that's been all over TV. But the turtle suit is basically so you can't hurt yourself, and I think it is interesting. I think it should be of note that he is wearing the turtle suit in this mugshot. Yeah, I mean, any tips are going to be helpful. They're wanting to know, like, what did they miss? What did they... Is there anything that you know now that you didn't know then? Like, maybe you know this guy. Maybe you know this guy. Maybe you didn't think anything of something you saw, but now that you know it's him, maybe you rethinking some things. Do I know the vehicle he had in the August incident? Let me look. Not right now, obviously, but let me look. I do have the ticket and the paperwork for that, so I can see if it's on there. The car registered to him from the research that I've done is a Kia, but we're still developing information on that. I'm laughing at one of these comments, but anywho. What else we got here? We don't know. So the probable cause is like how you know someone did something, why you think someone did something. Like, it's all your evidence that it's a mini, we're going to call it a mini case. So it's a mini case. This is what we have so far. This is why we have the right to arrest this guy and charge this guy. And so we're just gonna have to wait for that to get that type of information. And we can all be patient, y'all. We've been patient for like what, 8 weeks now? Like, we'll be fine. Or 6 weeks, 7, 8. Well, it's been a hot ass minute, but we'll be fine. Waiting a few more, however long it is to get those answers. Oh God, I hope not. He has a public defender. They said that. He was assigned a public defender. That was said today. He was assigned a public defender. So with warrants, a standard warrant will need to be issued during regular business hours. Like, we're talking before 5 o'clock. But you can have warrants with exigent circumstances that allow you to go in at any point in time. But you have to have a good fucking reason to do that. Otherwise, you can issue that warrant during regular business hours like all the other warrants. But given the circumstances, I'm sure it's pretty easy to say they had exigent circumstances and go in at 3 a.m. Obviously, they had a warrant. He's got a public defender now in Pennsylvania. So when he switches over, he could get private practice. He could he'll get a new public defender, because obviously that public defender is in this area, the Pennsylvania area, and you're switching states and you have to be licensed. Like, you have to take the bar in every state to be licensed in that state. There's exceptions to that rule, but we're not going to get into that because it's irrelevant. But yes, I'm assuming he will get a new attorney when he's in Idaho. Yeah, everybody wants a why. There's not always a why, Sometimes people just do shit because they suck. So, if you're wanting a why, I wouldn't hold out. The why can be as simple as I fucking felt like it. That's not the why you want, because it doesn't help you rationalize things. So from a sociological standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, like, we don't like that because we want a reason, but people will have to learn to come to terms with the fact that sometimes the reason is because I felt like it, because I'm a shit human. I mean, it's kind of. Think everybody should back off the families for a little bit, because they now have a name and a face to go with the person that took their loved one away from them. So as somebody who is I have personally gone through this, you think it's a monster and it's a human being and that did this, and so that has it's a whole other level of trauma that they're dealing with. So just let them have their time, because when you have a name and a face and you know it's a person, it's a lot. It's a fucking lot. Yeah, don't talk about his family on here, y'all. His family, they're secondary victims too. You can't control who your family is. Do not talk negatively about his family in the comment section. You will be booted off this live, whether it's YouTube or TikTok, in 0.2 fucking seconds. Don't do it. Y'all know I don't allow that shit on here. Come on. Y'all leave his nose alone too. I mean, I love a petty comment, but come on. They'll get his medical records if that's the case. This is a good comment. I did not watch the news because obviously I was too busy working on this. So I've not seen the family stuff, but yeah, they're going through some stuff and everybody needs to leave them alone. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing is, like, any honest question, y'all know I love and respect an honest question. If you mean no harm and you're honestly asking a question, I'm all for that. You should absolutely ask those questions, and we should have a safe space to be able to talk about these kinds of things. There's no judgment. And obviously this is just a reminder, this is how I talk. So like, don't think that I like have a tone or I'm, angry or being mean. This is just kind of how I talk. So, I'm not scolding anyone, but just know that here we're not going to talk about his family because they're secondary victims too, and they're hurting today too. His family is also having to deal with a lot today as well. Heather, I was right about that, wasn't I? And a couple stats are stats for a reason. So that's good. We don't know the motive right now, y'all. We really don't. I mean, Idaho does have the death penalty, but I think they've only executed like 1 or 2 people since it was put into place. So they do have the death penalty, but they've only executed. It's 1 or 2. It's not very many people. I looked the stats up the other day. We do not know the connection yet, and I assure you that since whatever time this morning. So I got a tip this morning on my phone, and a source. Long story short, me and the mod since this morning, we've been working on the connection and we've not been able to find one. But rest assured, besties, that if we do, y'all will be the first to know. I'm telling y'all, as soon as we have the warrant, the probable cause affidavit for the warrant, we'll have lots of answers to the question. They do have the death penalty, so that is an option, yes. I have not seen that video. I'm telling y'all, we put his name out in the docs out this morning and pulled him, and we've done nothing but work on this since this morning. And so all day today, all I've been doing with the mods is pulling documents and making phone calls and things like that. So not seen anything on TikTok, not been on TikTok. And also y'all know that I don't use TikTok other than to communicate with you guys. So unless y'all tag me in a video like 500 times, I won't see it. And that's no offense. It's just, I'm all over the place all the time trying to keep up. Did I talk negatively about a certain person's family's parents? Absolutely the fuck not. I absolutely the fuck did not. Matter of fact, people who were around for that can tell you in the comment section that I absolutely did not. So the survey questions, Clint and I actually took the survey. So we've got screenshots of all the questions from the survey. They will go up for the members later. But we do have questions. We took screenshots of all of those just in case they took it down. We made sure to get all of that. So you don't have to worry about that. This right here, listen, this is the only thing I'm going to say about this, and I'm going to be fucking done with this, and we're going to move on because we're better than this, okay? This guy's appearance, I do not fucking care. I do not fucking care. Unless his nose was broken during an attack, which we have no way of knowing, unless he went to get medical care for that, which, of course, they're going to get his medical records if they think that's the case, which would show what happened and when it was treated for. But unless that can be used for some point of evidentiary value, it means nothing to me. So I do not care about this guy's nose. I don't want to hear about this guy's nose again. If this guy's nose was broken recently, they'll find that out in medical paperwork. Otherwise, it has absolutely zero fucking relevance, and I will not talk about this guy's nose anymore. Are we done talking about the nose? Can I get a yes, we're done talking about the nose in the comment section? Because my God, I don't care. I do not care about the shape of this guy's nose. Unless that has some relevance to it, it means jack diddly fucking squat to me. If it was broken recently and there is medical documentation that proves when he went and got medical treatment, if he did, for an alleged broken nose that y'all are just assuming that based on the shape, then sure, that could be of evidentiary value. But right now we have nothing to, that's just, y'all don't like the shape of his nose, so you're saying you think it's been broken and implying stuff there that's not there. And you're more entitled. You're entitled by all means to do that, to think that. But again, unless it has evidentiary value, I don't give a fuck. I'm sure we can find pictures of this guy and y'all can assess the shape of his nose from pictures all the way back, but I'm not doing that shit here. So if y'all want to waste time looking through pictures of his nose to see if it's been that shape for the past 10 years, more power to you, let me know. But I'm not doing that. I got a bump in my nose. I hate my fucking nose. Chill out on the nose, people. We can't all have button noses. Until they confirm that a statement about was anyone else arrested is true, then I'm not going to give that a second thought, because until they confirm that that was actually said, that's just hearsay bullshit, clickbait, whatever terminology you want to put on it. But until it's confirmed that he said, I'm not giving it another thought. I do think I'm one of the very few people online that have been nice about the police department. I've complimented what I've been able to see of them working the case. I love that they had put shoe covers on. They appeared to be taking the crime scene very seriously and taking the integrity of the crime scene seriously. They went above and beyond. I'm one of the few people that's not talk shit about the Moscow Police Department. I mean, I did an episode on their history of solving cases for context, but outside of that, and stating the obvious that they don't have, they're not very experienced in solving homicides, but they did call in other agencies because they knew that. I mean, they're doing the best they can. I mean, they're small agencies, so we would all do things different. Hindsight's 2020, but I think they did the best they could. And I'm pleasantly surprised with an arrest. What else we got on here? The woman's question asking about false statements. Do you think this case will pave way for slander, falsification, and future interfering with cases? So, as long as you don't listen, it's like asking a question. If you genuinely ask a question because you genuinely don't know and you mean no harm, no foul, then I don't care. There's no stupid question. There's no ignorant question. There's no mean question. If you are genuinely asking because you just want to know, I think that goes with some statements, not all, because my God, y'all know how I feel about shit online. The issue is when people state things as fact without substantiating it, and it's not a fact. So, of course, we live in America, or a lot of us do. I mean, you have the right to say your thoughts and opinions in your own space. But I think that there's an issue with people thinking that they can say whatever they want and victimize people. And some of these people absolutely deserve what they have coming in the legal realm for shit that they've said about people. So, it's not that hard to be nice. It is free to be a decent human being, right? It's free to be a decent human being. It doesn't hurt you to say allegedly, supposedly, I don't know shit about fuck. It appears, according to these docs, it doesn't hurt anybody to do that. And it doesn't make your job harder to do that. It may be less clickbaity, less cool, less fun, less vibing on the internet. But I mean, yeah, I think people have lost, they don't see value and respect, and they don't see people as people, and they don't care if they further victimize people, and that's fucked up. And that's why you don't see that going on here, because I'm not a fan. Words, absolutely. Yeah, words have consequences. And they hurt people. I mean, nobody wants to, people see things and what they may not care, but people are quick to lash out online, and I don't like that type of stuff. That's why you won't see it on this channel. Any other questions y'all have for me? Because I'm gonna have to check in with members. We're gonna have to do a members only live, so I will have to check in with the members, and then maybe we can reconvene for a late night tonight, since it's been one hell of a crazy wild fucking day. It's Fuckery Friday. I didn't even know it's Fuckery Friday, and what a fuckery Friday it has been, besties. So we'll answer a few more questions, and then I got to go do a check-in with the members. The members only live, so if you want to become a member, you can absolutely do that if you so choose. But a few more questions, and then I'm got to go check in with the members. Stop being nosy. That's funny as fuck. And that, yeah, love that. Love that word pun right there. This Friday really is fuckery Friday. It's fuckerying it up to the max. But it's Friday. So we'll do a late night tonight. We'll do a late night tonight. If y'all want to. If y'all would like to hang out and do a late night tonight, we'll do a late night tonight. Whew, how long do you think this case will take to process the courts? 1 year or more? Easily. Unless he pleads guilty, which I don't see happening. If he pleads guilty, that would speed some things up. But a year more easily. Yeah, I think, on average. You have to do all of the, you have to check all the boxes. So there's lots of things that have to be done, lots of paperwork that has to be filed. You want things to do it right. Let me say this now before we get any further. We want things done right. So if that means that certain information can't come out until he's had his hearing, so fucking be it. We want it done right. If we have to wait however long for this to go to court, then so be it, because we want it done right. If, you don't like it, but that's what needs to be done, then we can just fuck right off because, we want it done right. So we need to remember that this guy is innocent until proven guilty. And we need to have that mindset as we look at the evidence against him, which we will do. So as we learn more, we will critically think as we do bias checks as we do, and we will continue this case ethically, morally, and, from an educational standpoint as best we can. I didn't realize it was Friday, Juju. I didn't realize it was Friday. And given all the fuckery, I should have known it was fuckery Friday. Oh, damn. It's 10 p.m. where you are. Well, Kimberly, it might be you might be having coffee with us in the morning, because it would be at least 6 hours from now. So here's one thing that I do want to say, because I know that people are going to get all up on this. I went to school for the same thing this guy went to school for. Just because I have a murder library in my home, just because I have books and research on factors of decomposition and things like that, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm arrogant. It doesn't mean I want to hurt somebody. In order to be good at your job in the criminal justice system, you have to learn all kinds of things. And so we're not going to use his educational background as a way to judge him for certain things. I mean, if you want to say that he might be educated in the field because XYZ, by all means, yeah, fuck yeah. But we're not going to say because he did a research on the what's the psychological, what was the test? I don't know. What were your thoughts and opinions and psyche behind committing crimes? That is a standard study that you do when you're getting that type of degree. And there's a lot of weird studies that we do in that field. And so, yeah, we're not going to use the fact that he studied that as like a way to judge him, because anyone that went to school for that in that field did a lot of things that were weird. I mean, I'm weird. I research stuff that's weird. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm a shit person. Knowledge is power. So knowledge is power. So if you want to say that, it's interesting that he obviously knew a lot about the criminal justice system and what all the different things that we learn, getting a criminal justice degree, totally fine. Because, yeah, absolutely. But if you're going to say he did a research project on this, so blah, 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 I'm not buying that, because we all did research projects that were a little fucking weird getting a criminal justice degree, I mean, I've got research studies on literally whether or not clothes speeds up or slows down decomposition, and whether or not you're wrapped in a blanket or a tarp, and like there's lots of shit that gets studied in the criminal justice realm, and we shouldn't, that's my 2 cents on that. Any last minute questions before I do a members check-in? Because I don't want to lose my voice, and I know we're doing a late night now because y'all said y'all wanted to hang out late night. So a few more questions, and I got to do a members check-in, and then I got to let my voice rest before I hang out with you guys for the late night. So a few more questions, then we're going to get off and do the members only live. You have to be approved to use the website to become a member, yes. And that is for the integrity of the group. It's for you. It's for all of us. The reason why you have to get approved to use the website before you can get a membership is just to make sure that the integrity of the website and the experience that you have on the website is maintained. And also to make sure that certain people in cases that we cover aren't trying to get on the website to access things. So it is just a security measure, but it is also for the integrity of the whole group, and so that we can all have a good experience when on the website and on the members only stuff. I consider when you're on our page, because I consider it our page, when you're on our page, you have to go by our rules. And so we want everyone to have a good experience in the comment section and otherwise. And that's amplified in the members only segment of things. So because more information is shared there under the, I expect people to be more responsible and ethical with that information. And so, yeah, you have to be approved to use the website, but you get approved really quickly. One of the mods might have already approved you, and then you'll be able to get a membership. Last question, then we're done. One more question. I got to check in with the members only. Derek, we'll have to side message about that later. One more question. Let it be a good one. Someone send in a good question so we can go out with a bang. And then I'll head over to Discord to do a members call. Anybody? Recap of the press conference. That's great. That's a great way to end this. We'll do that. Recap of the press conference. They made an arrest. The name that we put out this morning is correct. They didn't say anything at the press conference that I didn't tell you guys this morning. And they will not be saying anything about how they got onto him or how they presume him to be the perpetrator or anything like that until after he has another hearing on January 3rd about being extradited. He then has to have his initial hearing in Idaho before they can release the probable cause for the arrest and all that good stuff. So until that happens, we're really not going to know anything. And that's a wrap for now. Thank you guys for watching the press conference with me. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with me all day, really, because it's been a fuckery Friday for sure. So I appreciate you guys. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Love you very much. And I'm going to head over to the members only live real quick. And then I will see you guys for late night because it is fuckery Friday. So on that note, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. And I will see you guys on late night.